we will talk about the historic decisions on the auto GST. Whole host of announcements have been done across the segments. The government has tried to give the benefits. Now let's talk about the industry size. Auto industry in India, including the auto component segment as well, contributes over 10% in overall India's GDP. Now getting a cut, such a substantial amount that, as we all know about, that is indeed a historic decision that the government has come out with. But the key question is, from now until 22nd of September, what will be the impact on the industry? What is in the store for the customers, and how are dealers going to deal with it? In this episode, we will try to decode all of that, so stay tuned for more. So from two-wheelers to three-wheelers, tractors, commercial vehicles, passenger vehicles, across the board you will get to see lower prices from 22nd of September, and that's a big boost. Because let's start with passenger vehicles. The small cars will be the biggest beneficiaries. The one below 1200cc segment for the petrol variant, and those are below 1500cc diesel variant, those will be taxed at a lower rate of 18%. When it comes to above that category, above 1200cc petrol engine cars, they will be taxed at a 40% rate. But if you compare that with the previous rate, including the cess, then that was anywhere between 49%. So that will be slashed. Other than that, the two-wheelers, 350cc is the benchmark, and all the two-wheelers below that category, they will be the biggest beneficiary from 28% to 18% now. Tractors, 12% earlier, 5% now. Commercial vehicle segment, 28% earlier to 18% now, and so is the case for three-wheelers. So across the board, the benefits are humongous. But how is the industry taking it? What is that the OEMs are factoring in terms of the demand that is likely? Other than that, at the dealership, what is the sentiment that is building up? Along with that, how are the dealerships are going to tackle that compensation cess factor? We will try to decode all of that. Well, yes, two-wheelers remain to be the backbone of the Indian automotive industry, which drives over 70% of the volumes in the overall share. But what is the excitement all about, and especially with respect to the GST rate cuts that have been announced? What is the situation on ground? Let's understand that from Nikhil Dugar, who is the director of 4 Point Automotive. Nikhil, thank you so much for your time and welcome to ET Now.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
But Nikhil, firstly tell us, how is the excitement looking like on ground pre-GST announcements? Because people were any which ways anticipating that from 15th of August, there will be some rate cuts that will happen. And now that the rate cuts are through, the announcement is made. How are you looking at the inventories? What's the experience?
So firstly, on 15th, when our Honorable Prime Minister made the announcement of the cuts on the GST rate, first 4 or 5 days there was certain uncertainty in the minds of customers also regarding how this will eventually plan out, how will it be implemented and everything. And we are dealers in Maharashtra. For us, the festive period begins from the first day of Ganpati itself. So first 6-7 days of Ganpati, people were busy in their Ganpati rituals and everything. Right now, post the announcement of the actual GST that has been made from the council, we have seen that the customer are trying to delay their purchases, waiting for the additional discounts or the additional price reduction that might happen after the 10% GST cut down. So the customers are waiting and delaying their purchases and waiting for the 22nd of September to kick in as soon as possible.
But the key question remains that post 22nd of September, when this implementation will be through, what sort of an excitement are you hoping for, and what sort of a booking numbers will you be working with? Give us some sense.
So right now, there will be a delay in the bookings and the footfalls. So what we are hoping is the pent-up demand that will be created in these 2 to 3 weeks will eventually turn into a proper sales post the 22nd. This is where we are expecting that the customer will have double reasons to buy a vehicle. One would be buying it on an auspicious day. The other would be the 10% GST cut that the government has announced. So we are looking for a good and a positive festive post the 22nd of September.
No, but the other thought is that if I happen to book a vehicle, say right now,
Right.
since we are already in that festive period, for now, we will have that inauspicious time in between. And if I take the delivery then, how will you treat me? You will be charging me what sort of a rate? How adjustments will you be making? Give us some sense.
So right now, anyone who's coming down to our showroom, what instruction that we have given to our sales team is that whatever the GST adjustment of 10% would be done, we are taking and we are communicating the exact estimated amount to the customer itself, and we are taking bookings on that amount. And whatever the difference would be, the billing would be post 22nd, that will be adjusted and be cleared in the terms of customers' point of view.
Nikhil, you already have the inventory in the showroom because with respect to the festives that will be around, I believe dealers are also very much excited and they want to be prepped up for the festive season. But along with that, you have the inventory in the system, the rate cuts are announced, so there's a bit of an uncertainty who will take that 10% difference. So is it going to be dealers? Are you waiting for some clarity? And what are you hopeful of? What actions could be there?
So we at this dealership are still waiting for some clarity from the government or the OEM, saying that we right now are fully positive about the festival that is about to come. We are piling up our inventory so that once this pent-up demand is actually flourishing into a proper sales, we have proper inventories where we can cater the customer and satisfy all the needs that they're looking at.
Indeed, but Nikhil, yours is a segment where we will see the most of the tax benefit to happen, and yes, of course, that's definitely going to be an exciting one. But along with that, from all the offerings that we have right now with you, give us a sense that what sort of a price incentive or price cut can the customer have? Tell us about your range and tell us about the price difference, and why do you think that it will matter so much for a customer that you cater to?
Right. So Hero is basically a OEM that majorly deals in the customer segment where it is a mass volume product. So we have vehicles ranging from say 69,000 right up to 130, 140 odd lakh rupees. The price reduction post the GST cut, what we are estimating would be somewhere around 6,000 to 11,000 rupees, which is a significant amount for this segment that we are looking at. This segment is somebody who is a person who wants everything from hand to mouth. Whatever the amount of income that he earns is, there's no saving in this. So, and right now, this two-wheeler industry is not a luxury, but it is a necessity that has been created in India.
Oh, yes, indeed. And Nikhil, will definitely watch out for that. And there's a lot of excitement and a lot of uncertainty in the minds of the people as well. But we hope that this would help them clear some bit of that. But thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, now let's talk about the passenger vehicle segment, because that's where a bigger booster has come with respect to the small cars. But from now and then, how is the inquiries that are building out? What sort of an excitement is on ground? Let's try to understand that, and let me welcome Mr. Amar Jatin Sheth, who is representative of FADA as well as director of Group Chaman. Amar, thank you so much for taking the time out. And Amar, the excitement is all around.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
But what's the excitement on ground? Because people are any which ways anticipating that there will be a GST cut. What sort of an inquiry levels?
So I think a reduction in GST was something that across industries many were clamoring for. The auto industry through FADA, we had also represented ourselves at all levels, saying that we need to get the GST levels to more rational levels. Because a car is no longer a luxury, it is becoming a necessity. So we need to get it to those levels. So I think on the 15th August speech by the Honorable Prime Minister, it was a watershed moment for the auto industry. And we are extremely excited that there is a sizable cut in the GST. And when the GST Council announced on the 3rd the reduction, it was a pleasant surprise to all of us that there was no other asterisk marked anywhere else, and I think that is translating into customers walking into showroom, taking test drives, getting ready for their purchase when this transition happens on the 22nd.
Oh, indeed. But Amar, from now and then, there's one bit that is still uncertain. What will happen to the compensation cess? Because we have been talking to a lot of OEMs and even they are willing for a clarity. But before we talk about your plans regarding the same, why don't you explain us what exactly is that? Can we have some documentation regarding it, if we can?
So when the GST regime came into force into the country in 2017, there was a tax angle and which was going to the center. Of course, the states had their share, but there were certain states which were coming into a deficit. So to balance those, the government came up with the concept of a compensation cess. So it is actually a compensation to those states which were in the deficit. The legal age, as per our provision of the GST Act of the compensation cess, after an extension it got during the COVID period, is ending now. So by law, compensation cess has to go away, and that has happened in this announcement at the GST Council, where there will the cess has been subsumed by the GST Act itself. So there will no longer be a compensation cess. So I think there is a little bit of myth still in a customer's mind that GST has actually increased from 28 to 40%, but that's not true, because the GST as a tax itself has increased, but if you add the GST and the cess, it has actually come down. So across segments, the cess amount was different. We had starting from 1% going all the way up to 22%. So we had vehicles at 29% GST plus cess to all the way up to 50% plus GST and cess. So why don't I just show you on a
Absolutely.
paper.
That how is the breakup like, and we would like to explain and get more details on that.
Sure. So if we can see here.
Yes, and that's the breakup is all about.
So if we look at this, this is a typical pro forma invoice that we have. So in that, if we look at the GST amount, it's 28%.
Oh yes.
Which is broken up into SGST, CGST, IGST. But we also have a cess component, which is at 17%. So if you add both of them, it comes to a 43% total. So that itself comes down in this segment to a 40%.
All right, but let's touch upon the compensation part, because we did understand the breakup, but what happens now? Because this is a sizable percentage and an amount that we are talking
So this is the problem between the manufacturer and the dealer. It's nothing to do with the customer, right? It is whatever this customer doesn't,
that we read this and we want.
No, and he has to pay a GST amount in total, so which is capped at 40%. So for the customer, there is nothing to worry about at all. It is something between the dealer, manufacturer, and maybe the finance ministry that a solution needs to be coming up. But yes, it is a concern for the dealer community at large, because in our books we do have input for the cess amount, which we are waiting for clarification that since everything else has gone so well and the GST Council has been kind enough to pass these type of directions ahead, that this will also find some solution, because otherwise it is a huge impact. So across the automobile industry, it's close to 2,500 crores. So it's an extremely large number, and that a dealer of course won't be able to support. So we are looking at the transitions coming in and hoping that there will be some sort of clarity given forward.
But there has to be a solution with respect to the dealer side as well as from you, and you're hopeful that the dealers might have to like come in and rescue in a way.
Yeah, we will need support from the finance ministry and the management. Yes.